Well, hello everybody. If you checked out my previous video, you would Coconut Grove Art, you would have seen that I used my thumbnail as my photo for the thumbnail. I guess they call the image it gets captured that kind of represents the whole video a thumbnail. Don't know why, but I thought it was quite clever that I used an actual thumbnail. But this video, it's in the cemetery of this old church up north, walking around, taking pictures. It was really cold out that day, and I parked and I walked over to this church. And I like old churches and old cemeteries and just stuff that looks like it might be interesting to take pictures of. Um, so I stayed a lot longer than I was planning on, but it was really cool. Old church, and shortly after, kind of going into the front, you see these markers and this tree, which is like really close to the church. I mean, clearly the church was there first, and then the tree grew up near it, and it's so close it almost looks like it impedes the opening of the door, which I found kind of interesting. And then the tombstones are always really interesting. You could tell it was a really old church. Some of them, the markings were faded. You couldn't even hardly made out what it said. There was one, it had a really neat saying to it that it kind of looked like there was more to it than what you could read. But it had this one part, it said something like, "And memory paints the rest." I just thought it was kind of neat. I took a picture of it. Um, I don't know. Kind of hope that somebody takes a picture of my tombstone, thinking it's neat and interesting. Maybe looks at the name. Well, monochrome skies. I wanted to use the trees as a little bit of a to mix it up a little bit. Still kind of cold up here, up north, and in and out, up and down the East Coast. New York, Florida, Virginia, back and forth, back and forth. Further up north, around. But oh well, what do you do? So I'm wandering through the cemetery, noticing some of the tombstones, and there was this one that had a skull on top. I found that kind of interesting too. It was really different than some of the others. And there was another one that looked like the grave had been there, and then a tree grew up around the grave, so you could barely. So between the tombstone sinking down and the tree growing up, you could just see the very top of this tombstone. I thought that was kind of neat. And let's see what else. Oh, I went around the corner, and I saw that it was a cannonball stuck into the side of this church. And so I took a picture of it, and it was really neat because you could see that the cannonball, obviously they had it on display, part of their historical, whatever, references for the church, part of the history of the area, battles from nearby rivers and what have you. But it looked like you could only see it from like a part of the side angle of the church where it actually did maybe knock out some of the mortar and some of the bricks, and then it kind of looks like you can see where they put it back. They did a good job putting it back. You almost can't even tell. But I took a selfie of this one section of the church, and I didn't notice it until afterwards, but there was numbers and letters written into the church wall, and I thought it was kind of cool. I noticed it when I was walking away. I actually went back and took another look at it, and of course the numbers represent obviously some sort of year, but the initials I don't know. It So I kept on going around, taking some more pictures, and I noticed this one thing on this one side of the church. It looks like there's a like a more, now you got the church and then you got like the side buildings, and it looks like the side building had like a daycare place of some sort, and there was a grave marker, a tombstone right next to the fence of the playground. And it's like, I don't know, if you're a kid and you go out to, play and you just look at this tombstone every single day, it's like, yeah, enjoy it while you can. Don't last forever. And I was going around, I was taking some other pictures, and all of a sudden I saw out of the corner of my eye, this peripheral vision, this hawk. Well, I saw the squirrel first. Squirrel went running across the little walkway right there in the snow, and then this hawk came down and pounced on top of it. So I'm taking still photos, and I'm like, you know what, let me go ahead and change, try and get some video of this. And so I shifted to a video mode, and you can see the hawk, and he's kind of, I'm trying to get close and close and try not to scare him away. And you can't really see the squirrel so much as he's pounced on top, but then he turns around and he kind of looks in my direction, and you can kind of see him looking kind of concerned that I'm getting close. And then he takes off, and you see the squirrel like dangling from his talons. I thought that was kind of cool. I wanted to do it in slow-mo so you could kind of see the squirrel hanging from its claws. And that's a lot of torque. That falcon's got some serious muscle to be able to lift up that big squirrel like that. I don't know if that maxes out the hawk's limits, but he seemed to do it pretty efficiently. And that was about it. The church with the walls, kind of surrounded walls, kind of coming in. You can see they got the like braces up, going around, kind of supporting the walls. And it's just neat. It's just like, I kind of dig old churches and stuff like that. So I wanted to share it with you. It's not often you see death occur in the graveyard. Sounds like an Agatha Christie novel or something. Death in the graveyard. Oh well. See you around. Go team.